They belong in the ocean where even great whites fear them. Unfortunately, hundreds of orcas have been held in captivity in water parks. Some of them have attacked and killed people. Talk about an unfair fight. What could you do against an angry animal that is 9 meters long? Here's how to survive. The worst killer whale attacks. These majestic creatures are highly intelligent and have complex social structures. They don't do well when they're forced to spend their lives in captivity. They're massive, built to dive freely into the depths of the ocean. Sadly, in an aquarium, they're often confined to a tank that is 9 meters deep. That puts immense stress on them and can trigger hyper-aggressive behavior, which can result in some brutal attacks on humans. This includes people they're familiar with, like their trainers and handlers. Which famous orca killed 3 people? Are there warning signs before an attack? How can a haircut be the difference between life or death? Number 3. Kasatka. In 2007 at SeaWorld San Diego, Kasatka was supposed to perform a common trick alongside Ken Peters, her trainer. Instead, the orca dragged Peters to the bottom of the 11-meter tank in front of an audience of 200 people. She held him underwater for a minute. When she surfaced, she was still holding on to Peters by his foot. Peters remained calm during the ordeal. Eventually, he was able to scramble away from Kasatka's grasp. SeaWorld handlers were extremely bewildered by the orca's behavior, since she performed the trick several times with no issues. The attack could have been triggered after Kasatka heard a distress cry from Kalia, her calf. She was in a backstage pool. The orca mother and daughter had been separated, a difficult ordeal for animals with strong familiar bonds. Placing pressure on an orca to perform tricks after a traumatic separation from its calf caused significant distress. This was probably the worst time to put any demands on Kasatka. Number 2. Keto. In 2009, during a training session for an upcoming Christmas show at Spain's Loro Parque, a staff member noticed that Keto was deliberately putting himself between Alexis Martinez, his trainer, and the stage. This display of aggressive behavior should have been enough to prevent anyone from entering the tank. But Martinez had worked with Keto for several years and had a close relationship with him. That didn't stop the massive orca from leaning on Martinez as soon as he began to swim. Other trainers were giving signals to bring the killer whale under control, but using his snout, he pushed Martinez to the bottom of the pool. After a few seconds, Keto resurfaced, but only to take a breath before diving down to his handler again. The attack lasted more than 40 seconds, but it was enough to leave Martinez with multiple fractures and internal bleeding, which led to his death. Number 1. Tilikum. Captured when he was only 2 years old, this infamous orca killed 3 people during his lifetime. He grew to be about 5,440 kilograms, and despite showing multiple signs of stress over the years, he was on display for thousands of park-goers. In 2010, Dawn Branshaw was Tilikum's handler. She was also one of the most experienced trainers at SeaWorld Orlando. Reports state that during a show, Branshaw may have slipped and fallen into a holding pool, only to be grabbed immediately by Tilikum. He shook her so violently that one of her shoes came off before dragging her underwater by her hair. Branshaw had particularly long hair as she was growing it to be donated to cancer patients. This gave Tilikum something to grab onto. The attack was prolonged and incredibly violent. Tilikum wouldn't let go of Branshaw for at least 45 minutes, even after she drowned. When her body was recovered, one arm had been severed. She also had multiple fractures to her ribs and vertebrae, and parts of her scalp were found at the bottom of the tank. Getting attacked by an orca sounds horrifying, but how about being swallowed by a whale? Do you want to know how a fisherman survived inside a whale's mouth? To find out, keep watching How to Survive.